Tensions have reached a fever pitch in the latest chapter of the conflict unfolding in the intricate waters of the Red Sea, triggering a series of events that promise to change the course of this dangerous saga. The wily Houthis, backed by Iran and known for their subversive tactics, have once again challenged international peace efforts. In a bold turn, they have targeted civilian freighters and oil tankers, establishing themselves as an imminent threat to U.S. Navy operations. The forceful response of the United States to this provocation has marked a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict. Issuing a thunderous message, the United States of America launched its third forceful attack against the Houthi rebels, emphatically declaring, "The Red Sea is no ground for such reckless aggression." The seriousness with which the U.S. military addresses the Houthi threat is reflected in this operation, surprising even Iran with its unexpected forcefulness. This strategic move represents a radical change in U.S. military strategy, surpassing previous airstrikes against the Houthis in Yemen. It is the third time that the United States has taken action against Houthi facilities used in attacks in the Red Sea, according to U.S. Central Command. In this new episode, U.S. forces carried out an airstrike in Yemen with the aim of neutralizing an HY missile complex, as reported by the U.S. Central Command. The result was the destruction of 4 Houthi anti-ship ballistic missiles, ready to be launched from areas of Yemen under Haitian control. This episode adds a new layer of intrigue and tension to the already complex plot that unfolds in the dangerous waters of the Red Sea. Around 4:15 hours in Sana'a, the U.S. military unleashed its third attack against Houthi targets, in a strategic operation that was carried out with pinpoint precision. According to 2 senior U.S. officials, the urgency of the action lay in the imminent threat that the 4 missiles posed, not only to commercial ships but also to vessels belonging to the U.S. Navy. The information, reliably obtained by 2 U.S. sources, reveals that the offensive was aimed at neutralizing anti-ship ballistic missile launchers belonging to the Houthis in Yemen. One of the officers highlighted that the missiles were intercepted in the midst of preparation for an imminent attack. This forceful American counterattack came a day after Houthi forces launched an anti-ship ballistic missile against the cargo ship Gibraltar Eagle, owned by the United States and operated by the UK Merchant Marine Operations, under the management of the Royal Navy. The vessel, tasked with providing updated information on maritime security in the region, suffered damage above the waterline. Fortunately, there were no fires or casualties, and the ship continued moving towards its destination. A subsequent Central Command, CENTCOM, investigation confirmed that the anti-ship ballistic missile, fired from Houthi-controlled territory in Yemen, hit the Maltese-flagged cargo ship MV Zographia while it was sailing in the southern Black Sea. At the same time, the Houthis issued a statement justifying the attack by alleging that the ship's crew had ignored repeated warning calls, including messages warning of a highly combustible situation. This episode further intensifies the plot of tension in the dangerous waters, where each movement triggers unpredictable consequences. In an unprecedented turn of events, the United States successfully destroyed Houthi ballistic missiles in a strike that has sent a strong message, especially to the Houthis in the Red Sea and, crucially, to Iran. This event marks a milestone, marking the first time that the United States has successfully neutralized this specific threat, underscoring the seriousness of the current situation. It is widely believed that Iran's continued assistance to the Houthis is the catalyst behind the escalation of tensions. As the Iran-backed Houthis persist in their attacks on civilian and oil shipping, including U.S. Navy assets in the Red Sea, extremely significant retaliation by the U.S. military is on the horizon. This portends intensely hot periods in the region. Throughout the day, both the Houthis and Iranian leaders eagerly await comments and explanations about the third U.S. strike. However, the mystery remains: what was the objective of this assault, and why was it carried out? The next actions of the United States in terms of coalition forces also become central in this context. The latest U.S. attack on the tension line occurred after the Iran-backed Houthis claimed responsibility for a missile attack on the MV Zographia, a Maltese-flagged bulk carrier operating in the Red Sea. The U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, revealed that the U.S. Navy, in a night operation in the Gulf of Aden, recovered components of Iranian-made ballistic and cruise missiles used by the Houthis in their attacks. Search for missing crew members. In pre-recorded remarks, Brigadier General Yahya Ser, a Houthi military spokesman, alleged that the shots were fired after the crew ignored warning calls and claimed that the ship was heading to an Israeli port. However, shipping tracking reports indicate that the Zographia was destined for Egypt. Although the ship, managed by a Greek company, did not appear to be carrying cargo, it suffered material damage. The crew, made up of 20 Ukrainians, 3 Filipinos and 1 Georgian, is part of the challenges that still remain to be unraveled in this web of geopolitical tensions and maritime conflicts. The most recent satellite data, collected and processed with precision, has revealed that the MV Zographia continued its movement after the impact of the attack. On previous occasions, the United Kingdom Merchant Navy, in charge of monitoring activities in the navigable waterways of the Middle East, had already identified an attack in the vicinity of the Zographia. This attack by the Houthis was the catalyst that prompted the United States to take action. The U.S. response was triggered a day after Houthi forces launched an anti-ship ballistic missile at the U.S.-owned freighter Gibraltar Eagle. Faced with this significant dual threat, the United States and the United Kingdom carried out punitive operations, using Tomahawk missiles and fighter jets to attack nearly 30 Houthi positions in a nighttime operation. These attacks were directly related to the Houthis' continued drone and missile attacks on merchant ships. After a failed attempt by the Houthis to launch a missile at a commercial airliner, with the projectile falling into the ocean, the United States responded with a second retaliatory strike the following night. The news of these new attacks was initially reported through Reuters. The airstrikes came after 2 days of persistent Houthi attacks on merchant ships off the Red Sea coast, bringing the total to more than 30 drone and missile incidents in the region and the Gulf of Aden since mid-November. These airstrikes in Yemen, conducted under the direction of President Joe Biden, have raised additional concerns among those who identify as Arab or Muslim. Despite Biden's declaration of an extensive diplomatic campaign to prevent attacks on ships in the Red Sea, the resulting order was clear: carry out multiple airstrikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. In his statement, Vice President Biden emphasized that the Houthis were endangering freedom of navigation in one of the world's most critical waterways, and that these attacks sent an unequivocal message that the United States and its allies will not tolerate aggression against their staff. The region, mired in uncertainty, anxiously awaits the repercussions of this latest development.